Well, hello everyone. I hope your Thursday is going well. I just want to share a few more thoughts today with you in this brief coaching moment about some things that are going to help us continue to develop good communication skills and will be overall well for our growth in general as people. And I want to talk about two words, or two phrases rather. One would be confirmation biased, and the other is cognitive dissonance. Now, what is confirmation bias? Confirmation bias is when a person can only absorb information that already confirms what they believe. And so when you have confirmation bias, you only absorb information that confirms things you've already decided are true. And this affects our brain. This affects our brain to the point that if we have confirmation bias, we only remember scenarios from our past that confirm things we believe. When we are in conflicts with people who disagree with us or believe things differently than us, we can only see the situation through our point of view. We're not able to have empathy to understand what the other person is saying or feeling or how they're viewing the situation. This is confirmation bias. This is very strong in our society today. There are many things that can contribute to confirmation bias. This shows up in how we view our emotional life. This shows up in how we relate to politics. This shows up how we relate to religion. This shows up in what we believe and think about how money should be handled. And so if you have confirmation bias, this immediately shuts down your ability to learn and grow and to process new information and to just dialogue and have conversation with people who see things different than you do. So the question would be, like, how do you begin to deal with confirmation bias? Well, first of all, take some time of silent reflection and self-reflection and look at if this is something that's an issue in your life. And to some degree, it's an issue in all of our lives. Just with some people, it's a bit stronger than others. And if so, you need to be intentional about doing some things that can bring about change. For example, you need to be intentional about relating and having conversations with people who are very, very different than you and see the world different than you and probably have beliefs that are drastically different than you. You know, you just sit down, and doesn't mean that you're going to change their mind or they're going to change your mind. But as you make that a habit, that opens your mind up to receive new information, and as the brain receives new information, it actually grows. What happens is, in your brain, what's created is new neural pathways. And so that happens when we receive new information, learn new things. And so it even helps us grow as human beings when we start to recognize our own confirmation bias and move past it. Because one of the things that contributes to this is when, obviously, we only listen to information that confirms what we already believe. And as well, when we only spend time and socialize with people who believe like we believe, our clique or our tribe. This is why, when it comes to especially religion and politics, I hate when people use the word tribe, because being a part of a tribe, if you're meaning in the sense of it's your good, loyal friends and people who are your support system, I get how that can be good, but in general, it's not good because it produces tribalism. And if your tribe is people who believe like you, think like you, vote like you, support the same sports teams as you, see how you view money and family and everything in life the same way as you, you're going to struggle with confirmation bias. And so it requires breaking a bit out of our comfort zone, meeting new people, conversing with people who are very different than us, and that helps us move past our confirmation bias and begin to see the world with another set of eyes. Something similar to confirmation bias is cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is something that happens in our brain that completely goes beyond confirmation bias. It totally clouds our judgment. We cannot see situations apart from our own opinion. Meaning, what would be an example of that? I think evidently anybody listening to me would agree that if you eat a Big Mac from McDonald's every single day, that is very unhealthy. I think that is fairly common sense, that type of food is not good for your body. Cognitive dissonance, and an example of that would be the person who eats McDonald's every day. They eat a Big Mac every single day. And someone tries to explain to them, this is not healthy. And their response is, well, I don't think there's enough conclusive research to show that Big Macs are unhealthy. That's a little bit ridiculous. I'm sure there is. I'm quite sure that there's lots of conclusive evidence to show that eating fast food every day is not good for you. Or it could sound like this, well, McDonald's, the McDonald's I go to, the building is so clean, and it's because it's such a clean, well looked after building, then there's probably no germs. Well, that's still illogical, but if the person has confirmation bias, they believe that. Not confirmation bias, I'm sorry, cognitive dissonance. Another example, a person with cognitive dissonance, maybe they believe that on Sunday morning, Martians are going to come to Earth. Now, I know I'm being facetious, but it's an example. And it does not matter how much evidence you show them that the Martians aren't coming. They are convinced that the Martians are going to show up. Because you can be so rigid in your opinions and your judgments that you experience cognitive dissonance, and this happens in your brain. This is not just something that's made up. This is proven that cognitive dissonance causes the brain to focus so much on what we already believe that we totally close ourselves off from any other type of information. So cognitive dissonance is much like confirmation bias, but it's more extreme. And so the same way we deal with cognitive dissonance and recognize that, okay, there may be some blind spots, there's some areas in my life where I have cognitive dissonance. It's the same thing as with confirmation bias. You need to be intentional about talking and conversing with people who are very different than you. Maybe it requires reading the news from a different newspaper or listening from a different news program than you normally would. That would be outside of your bubble. It would also involve breaking out of tribalism and just your little social circle and expanding your social circle to get to know people who are very different than you and learning to have conversations with them to see the world with another set of eyes. And even in some cases, depending on the scenario, if it's necessary, maybe it involves talking with a coach like myself, doing some coaching sessions, or it could involve therapy or seeing a mental health provider, especially if the reasons for cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias are somehow connected to trauma or abuses that have happened in life. Then part of that process of dealing with that would be getting professional help with a professional therapist. So those are some tips I just wanted to leave you with today, because as we deal with overcoming our confirmation bias, as we recognize areas of our life where there's cognitive dissonance, communication becomes more effective, it becomes more healthy, and our overall relationships in life become much more healthy. Have a great day.